Hello crafty friends! Welcome to my little attic studio. Today, I will be using the beautiful climbing leaves background stamp set to create a ghosting effect for a watercolored background. The climbing leaves background set comes with lovely sentiments too. I will also use the bold sentiment stamp for the sentiment, the mix and match dotted frame, the fancy hello die, watercolor brush marker refills, pure white and crystal clear embossing powders, obsidian pigment ink, and a distress spray bottle, and watercolor paper, of course. I made sure to wear gloves to protect my hands from all the inks that would be used for the background. Saturate the watercolor paper with water, then add the watercolor brush marker refills to the card front. Add more water, and then you can tilt the paper or use the fingers to spread the pigments around. Then use a craft tool to dry and add more pigment for added contrast. Make sure to dry the background before moving to the next step. Here I use the anti-static tool to remove static and oils. Then I checked if the background was truly dry. This is essential to ensure that the powder will only stick to the embossing ink. Next, I used a Misty and then attached the stamp, positioned it properly, and I inked up the stamp using clear embossing ink. I used a stamp press tool to press the stamp into the paper and apply even pressure all over the surface. For better results, I should have stamped a second time. Next, I added pure white embossing powder, make sure to tap off the excess. And then I used a heat tool to melt the embossing powder. I poured alcohol into a container and then used a fine-tipped synthetic watercolor brush to paint the leaves. This process will remove and somehow bleach the leaves and reveal a lighter or different colored leaf compared to the background. For best results, make sure to use dark colors to make the ghosting effect more evident. You can also use this technique with distress inks and water. Next, I use the dotted frame die from the Mix and Match die set to cut the embossed background. At first I was going to cut using the whole embossed background, but as I played around with the positioning of the die, I liked the top part where only part of the card front was embossed. So that's where I ended up die cutting the panel. I used a piercing tool to remove the tiny negative paper bits, and I kept the excess to make a second card later. Next, I die cut the hello die from the card front. Then I used press and seal to pick up all the tiny pieces of the die. This will ensure that I do not lose any of the small pieces I will need to reconstruct the die later on. Then I die cut 4 more hellos and attach them to each other to create dimension. Next, adhere the watercolored panel to an A2 card front. Slowly remove the watercolored hello. Make sure to keep all those small tiny pieces and adhere it on top of the stacked hello. And then now you can add that to your card front. And here I'm using the tip of the tweezers to push the pieces back in place. When I have sentiment stamps like this, I like to stamp more than one sentiment to have a stash of stamped and embossed images all set for future use. Use the stamp conditioner tool with brand new stamps to remove the film residue from polymer stamps that can cause a blotchy image. I inked up the sentiments with obsidian ink and used the stamp press tool for a good impression. After this, I sprinkled clear embossing ink to emboss the sentiments. Then the sentiments were trimmed down. Then I used foam strips to add dimension. I created a simple card with the excess background and embossed the sentiment on vellum. Here are the 2 cards I made. I hope you enjoyed this short tutorial, and please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching!